surprised that Jones came out so quickly?
Yeah, but that's the NFL for you. You know, it's a fast-changing business, and you got to rock with what we're in.
How do you personally and other receivers and skilled players adjust when a change like that is made?
Not even as a football player. I mean, it's tough as a man to see somebody who worked so hard kind of get that kind of treatment. But at the end of the day, you know, we all trying to feed our families, so we got to go out there and make plays for whoever's going.
Mac, what was communicated to you why you were pulled after the third drive that you played at quarterback?
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, just part of the plan. I think Coach Belichick obviously did a really, really good job explaining it to me. And I knew what the plan was. And, the timing's the timing, but we were on the same page, and there's no hard feelings or anything. I wish I played better while I was in there, but I'll hopefully have a chance to do that in practice and kind of earn that back and then, apply it in the game. But we definitely want to play better as a team, and we're going to do that, and we're all going to work together and put our best foot forward.
So when Mac came out of the game, Bill, was that a medical decision, the timing of the pulling him? So was that related to the interception? That was his last play tonight?
No, we had planned to play. I told the quarterbacks that we were gonna play both of them. So we did.
And so was the plan for 3 series? It just seems when his last play's an interception, it looks like a benching for performance.
That's not what it was, but you can write whatever you want to write. That's not what it was.
Was Mac Jones aware that he would only play part of the game?
Yes.
Bill, what was a benefit of the pre-planned rotation at quarterback?
I think it was the best thing to do based on the situation.
What was the situation?
The whole situation.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast featuring Phil Perry. This is the aftermath, and there's never been an aftermath quite like it. Before I get to the Senator, let me just say this. There is no quarterback controversy anymore. It's quarterback confusion. Bill Belichick invited the confusion. Bill Belichick, by the end of the night, might have gotten a conclusion to his confusion. Let's bring in the Senator and bat this around. The first question is the simplest one. Why did Bill do all of this? And can I just say, because I think he loves it. I think he loves dragging it out. I don't think he took the Bears seriously. And he embraces being unconventional. So it struck him as, all right, you know what? He wants to play. He's dying to play. He's coming back from the ankle. Let's let him play, see how it goes, and we'll go to Bailey. But we should be able to handle this one. Your thoughts?
I do think the competition had something to do with this on Monday night. This was the Chicago Bears. You were supposed to beat the Bears no matter who was in there behind center. I felt that way. I think you felt that way, Tom. I don't know that the Patriots felt that way, but James White told us on Next Pats that was sort of his inkling, not that he had been told, but he said maybe they felt like they could win no matter who was playing quarterback. And so I do think that was part of it. I don't think this is something they would have done in a divisional game against the Jets. I just would have a really hard time believing that they would try to pull this off. But speaking of belief, it's getting harder and harder for me to believe that the Patriots believe, and Bill Belichick specifically, believes in Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've done just about everything you can do to derail a young quarterback's career. That's just how it's. That's how.
No, you're right.
That's how it's played out. From the day it came out that we had our understanding that it was going to be Patricia and Judge. You change the offense, you change the language, you change the philosophy. Okay, he's trying to go with the flow. He's trying to put his stamp on the offense too. Hey, can we do some of these other things that I really like here? There's some tension there, which I think is natural, which I think Bill Belichick should have perceived as being natural when he makes the unorthodox choice to bring in the guys that he's brought in. Mac Jones ends up hurt after 2 of the 3 games he plays. And now he has a quick hook when he's worked to get back from a high ankle sprain, which was reportedly pretty severe.
And he embraces, Phil, just to interject, he embraces the philosophy that they ask him to embrace. Throw it down the field, press it down the field, take some shots. And then he gets hammered. And those stats are used as a cudgel to say that he's not what we thought he was, by fans at least.
In big picture, you're looking at it, you're saying, we're not even halfway through a player's second season, so he's still a young player in a new offense. And now he's already in danger of losing his job to a 4th-round rookie because they kicked a bunch of field goals against the Lions and they beat up on the Cleveland Browns when the score was in their favor? I mean, I think the answers that you're talking about, and I agree with you. I think there were answers that we got last night. And to me, it was Bailey Zappe is still really limited. And we knew that going into the game. The league knew that going into the game. I could tell you the Bears did not fear Bailey Zappe. They spent the bulk of their week preparing for Mac Jones. And they saw the same limitations that Bailey Zappe has that we have seen and spoken about. He has a hard time seeing over the line, evidenced by all the batted passes in the second half last night. He doesn't have a whole lot in terms of his arm. He made a few good throws, but they saw Mac Jones as the better quarterback. Did the Patriots? Why is it that it seems like the Patriots are the only ones who don't believe Mac Jones is the better quarterback than Bailey Zappe? Because maybe they do believe that, Tom, but their actions have not told us that.
I think because they're getting pissed off at the picks and the looseness with the football and the results. And they're looking at 2-7 and saying everything's under investigation. Everything is under scrutiny right now, including our quarterback. You know, he's not absolved of this. I remember in 2014, after the Patriots played the Raiders and beat them prior to their game against the Kansas City Chiefs, Brady was getting pummeled. And I talked to Bill after the podium at Gillette Stadium, and I said, you know, Tom's not getting to his second read. He doesn't have any time at all. He goes, it's everyone. I said, Tom, he goes, it's everyone. Meaning that Brady was letting them down just as much as everybody else. So I wonder if some of it is, okay, Bill is looking at this and saying, okay, you know what? Everybody's under scrutiny, Mac included. We need him to raise his level of play, which is understandable. But when you're leveraging job security, it doesn't need to be comfort. It doesn't have to be an appointment, but it has to be a level of confidence you can take the field with. And I think they're actively damaging the kid's confidence. He played scared last night, and he eventually made a scared throw that turned into a pick. But when I look at the way the game unfolded, the interesting thing to me is Mike Florio reported, Phil, that Mac took 95% of the snaps during practice, the lion's share, and that Mac pushed and pushed and pushed to play. So my feeling here, and based upon what we heard from Mac at the top there, where he kind of almost sounded appreciative of the opportunity to play, and that Bill did a really, really good job of communicating with him, it almost feels like Bill, against his better judgment, appeased Mac Jones by putting him out there and seeing how it went. And we didn't like how it was going, perhaps because he didn't think he had the rust knocked off entirely, not because he thinks he sucks. He said, all right, we're going back to Bailey. We're doing it now. That's what I think Bill did. I don't think he gave him the hook as much as he appeased him against his better judgment and put him out there in the first place.
Then it's a bad decision. It's a bad decision. You can't if he's.
But do you think that theory carries any water, or am I now just trying to find the Loch Ness monster?
I think Bill Belichick does respect his players more than maybe people would believe. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't matter what Mac Jones says to Bill Belichick. He's going to make the decision, whatever he thinks the decision should be. But I find it hard to believe that he would say, I don't really want to do this, but I'm going to do it. He felt like there was a benefit to Mac Jones playing outside of Mac Jones just feeling like he was part of it and feeling like he was part of the team. That to me would be hard to believe. I just look at the asking Bill Belichick after the game about, was he benched for performance? He said, no, that's not what it was. Write whatever you want, but that's not what it was. Okay, but he knows he's not obtuse. He knows how it looks.
Yeah.
It looks to everybody like he's benched for performance, including probably guys in the locker room, Tom, who apparently weren't all that up on the quarterback toggling.
As the Jacoby Myers quote that we had at the top indicates. I mean, teammates are pissed off on Mac's behalf. I don't know if that's universal, but at least a few.
But to your point, it's really hard to figure out why. Why play him in the first place? Because if he's so hurt that you don't want to play him the entire game, then why put him out there?
And that's what feels so uncharacteristic.
If he's just healthy enough to knock the rust off, Tom, then let him knock the rust off. I mean, it was like they middled it in such a way that nothing got accomplished.
And that's why it feels so uncharacteristic. And Bill loves the unconventional. He loves to be mysterious. He loves to be hard to figure. You never know what Bill's going to do. day by day. We'll figure it out. We don't know. And he dragged it out, and I think he got, as they say, too cute by half. All right, we'll let him knock the rust off. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? What's Justin Fields going to do? Put up 33 points? I mean, what are you, out of your mind? What's Nick Foles going to do? Score 41 in the Super Bowl on us if we bench Malcolm Butler? Maybe. So I look at,
If Nick Folk scored 41 in the Super Bowl when Malcolm
I said
Butler
Foles. Did I say Foles?
I heard Folk, but maybe you did say Foles.
Be that as it may, I think it was too cute by half. You know what? We can accomplish a couple things here. We can get Mac out there. We get him some game action. But we'll still get the win in the house. Then it's 10-0. He's thrown a disastrous pick. The fans have screamed, "We want Barabbas." He has to go to the sidelines listening to that. Would Mac have been benched if he played well in his first? Would he continued on if it was 17-0? Do you think? And what would that have proven if he did get benched at that juncture? Would that have proven that it was just, hey, let's get him out there and get him a couple laps?
It feels that way. And I asked Bill this morning, we're taping this on Tuesday morning. I asked him, was he healthy enough to play the entire game? And he said, well, that's a hypothetical question, which I don't, we got to maybe just redefine the word hypothetical before every press conference now. I don't know. But was he healthy enough to play the whole game? And then I followed up saying, well, he told us last night that he felt pretty good, which he did. And he said, well, yeah, but that wasn't 70 plays. As if to say, yeah, but I know if he were to have a full workload, it wouldn't have been all that great for him after the fact. So that would tell me that the plan was, no matter how well it was going, 3 touchdown drives are up 21-0, that maybe they would think about pulling Mac Jones at that point in time. But Tom, then he told ESPN he was going to bring him back in. He told us after the fact he's going to bring him back in for the second half. And the only reason they didn't was because of the score, even though it was only a 2-score game for the first 2 second half drives. So
and that's another wild thing, Phil. Say the score was, 23-21 early in the fourth quarter, and the Patriots are in a dogfight. Here comes number 10 in front of a lubed up Gillette Stadium crowd who already booed his ass off the field. Now he's coming back in. You're going to invite more. It's just, he created a spectacle that wasn't necessary. And as your point that you made earlier, they've actively done everything they could in the kid's sophomore season to kneecap him, not intentionally. Things have just unfolded in a way. McDaniels leaves, and the decisions you make for reasons that you think Mac will be able to deal with it. But at every turn, they've kind of kneecapped him. And had they brought him back into a chorus of boos and he immediately threw it off at somebody's helmet into a pick, how do you think it would have looked then? I mean,
don't you?
He's a big boy. It would have been fine.
Don't you feel like with that position, young players at that position, you have to be patient. You have to be willing to go through some growing pains to get that player to wherever he ends up. Not everybody's going to be Patrick Mahomes. Not everybody's going to be Tom Brady. Their first year, Patrick Mahomes, in his first year as a starter, he's arguably the best quarterback in football. Tom Brady wins a Super Bowl. It just doesn't work that way typically. You have to be willing to eat a few L's and maybe a few L's on a consistent basis to be able to end up where you want to end up. You can't treat it, in my opinion, like any other position, because it's just not. And I feel like he's acknowledged that in the past. But his experience, yeah. Tom, for 20 years is with Tom Brady, a guy who never missed games. Is part of this, as experienced as he is part of this that he just hasn't dealt with this situation before, developing a first-round quarterback and investing in a guy and making sure he's propped up in today's game where the quarterback matters as much as it does. He hasn't done this before. And it's apparent based on how they've handled him this year.
Nobody has ever loved backup quarterbacks more than Bill Belichick in his friggin' life. Nobody has ever loved backup quarterbacks more than Bill Belichick. Doesn't matter if it was Bernie Kosar. Doesn't matter if it was Drew Bledsoe. At times, it didn't matter if it was Tom Brady. Now, Bailey Zappe and Mac Jones, the guys behind him, whether it was Todd friggin' Phil Cox and Vinny Testaverde behind Kosar, whether it was Tom Brady behind Bledsoe, whether it was Jimmy Garoppolo, I've never seen such great devotion as I saw from Bill Belichick to Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, the flowery way that Bill spoke of him when he was traded and the statement released and the lengths that they went to explain why they had to divorce themselves from poor Jimmy, who has since gone on to be a C at best quarterback, is mind-blowing. And your point is right. I mean, actively just a wandering eye almost Bill has. I can do better than this. So with that wandering eye and with a second-year quarterback, despite all the things that Bill said, which I totally believe he meant at the time in July about the dramatic improvement of Mac Jones, how much regression has Mac Jones now experienced? Because I looked at a kind of a nervous, slow to read, jumpy guy under center. Nothing like the guy who was whipping it all over the, stadium against Baltimore.
I agree. I mean, it looks like he's way more willing to leave the pocket and run this year than he was in years past. And, I think it wasn't as though every pocket was perfect last night, but is he bailing on some of those a little bit early? I think there were instances of that through the first 3 weeks of the season here too. And to me, and I hate to go back to just how I felt preseason, but it's almost like we're not getting a clear view on how he could have progressed because of what's around him. So now every time something happens, we're looking at it saying, well, what's the variable? Last year versus this year, last year versus this year, Pro Bowl, 10 wins, pretty good young quarterback on the right track to this year. It's the coaching. So is he getting what he needs? Is he getting what he needs during the week in terms of the reminders? Hey, the pocket, it's going to look like this. You don't have to scramble for us to get yards. Step up. This throw is going to be here. This look's going to be here. This is what this concept's going to be against this defense. We don't know. But now
is he getting what he needs on game day? Is he getting what he needs on game day? Is he getting the right care and feeding for the confidence and mental stability that he needs? Or is he now in a position, which the Baltimore game kind of felt like, you know what? How about this? You want me to do this? I'm going to do this. How about this? You want me to throw downfield? Here we go. You want me to be a little more adventurous? Here we go.
And you're in a position last night where the Zappe chant started remarkably early, right? People were frothing at the mouth for the rookie. And the first one we heard, I think, the first Zappe chant we heard was when Justin Fields ran in for a touchdown to take the initial lead for the Bears. So, the offense isn't even on the field. I think they had one possession at that point. And they punted. So Zappe. It's just sort of like a light smattering.
Kind of a low Zappe.
It was a hushed Zappe. It was like a tentative Zappe. It was like the people were trying to feel it out.
Zappe.
We're kind of looking at each other in the press box, like Giardi and I and Reese. Like, is that a Zappe chant? Then it comes out again when Damian Harris just drops a pass that basically hits him in the face mask on a 5-yard throw over the middle of the field. And Mac Jones has to be hearing that saying, what do these guys want me to do? I mean, I can't catch it for him. And then I think it was the very next play was the pick. So is there anywhere in his mind, and maybe even just subconsciously, Tom, where you're hearing fans chant for your backup to come back in the game, where you're saying, I got to make a play here because he scrambles, he throws in the coverage, it's on the run. It's a bad decision. I'm sure he would look at it today and say, can't have it. But it's just additional pressure that's already on the guy coming back from injury, having not had the great start that he wanted. And then it's added on to even further when Bill Belichick replaces him.
Do you think that if Bailey Zappe had gone out there and performed well, the Patriots would have been happy with that and content going forward had they won this football game to move forward with an even healthier Mac Jones on the bench for the entire game against the Jets?
If Zappe went out and lit it up and they won, with Mac Jones having already thrown that pick?
Yeah. It goes to 14-10. Zappe gets it to 14-10, and it's all downhill and green lights, and they win, 35-18, whatever.
Well, it seemed like that's what he wanted to happen. Now, what would he do the next week? I don't know.
Yeah.
But based on the fact that you're pulling him with the last taste in his mouth being a bad interception, it doesn't seem like you're all that hell-bent on making sure Mac Jones experiences a lot of success, right? If they were desperate for Mac Jones to come away with good feelings and a productive day, You leave him in for another series or two and see if you could actually get anything going.
What did they do differently when Zappe came in? Did seem that there was a tweak, a little less shotgun. Same kind of stuff that they had been doing a little bit, right, Phil?
Yeah, so I'll look at it now. But
thanks, man.
When Mac Jones was in the game, they did go under center on his first second down throw, his third second down play. So they had, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they did. I mean, they had 6 under center plays, which was about half his snaps before he was pulled. But I think with Zappe, it's that under center play action down the field shot stuff. It's just Mac Jones had a couple play action attempts as well, but that's what stands out with Zappe is that they really do lean on that. And I had an NFL person tell me mid game, the offense is different when Zappe's in there. And is it just because they're trying to make it easier on him, or they feel like
performs different? Performs different, or is aligned differently? Played different.
The plays are different. The concepts, the approach is different with Zappe. And I think part of it's to simplify. It's what Kurt Warner told me last week. But why can't you simplify? This is almost verbatim what I was told. Why can't they do the same thing with Mac Jones out there?
And that
see how that
then leads to the question of, okay, well, Mac's further along. He's in a 300 level class. Bailey Zappe's in a 100 level class. Why are we going to take him out of the 300 level class and put him back in the 100 level class if he's already pissed off about the way things are going? We're going to dumb it down for him. I mean, doesn't he feel like he's Charlie Advanced over here? His beautiful mind. He's smarter than everybody. We can't bring him back and have him, say 1 + 1, 2. Let him do the algebra. It's really fascinating. And it all does go back to the ascendancy plan at the offensive coordinator and the decision to tweak the offense or even more drastically overhaul it. What needs to happen going forward categorically, period?
They need to go to Mac Jones, make him the full-time quarterback, and say, this is our guy for the year. I think, again, to get back to your initial point, we discovered some things last night. We discovered that it's hard for Bailey Zappe to move the ball when the Patriots are down on the scoreboard for obvious reasons. Some of the play action stuff goes out the window. I mean, his play action percentage was over 30% through 3 games. His screen percentage was almost 20% through 3 games. That's almost half of his plays are quarterback-friendly designs that in some ways go out the window when you're chasing points on the scoreboard and you have to be a drop-back pocket passer who just reads things out and executes and finds mismatches and makes accurate throws down the field. He wasn't able to do that last night. Mac Jones hasn't been able to do that consistently this year, but I think we've seen evidence of the fact that he can do it. And he might need a little nurturing to sort of help him along on that path. But if you continue to toggle in any way, shape, or form here, first of all, I would just dismiss that out of hand. I don't think you can do that, period. So if you go with Bailey Zappe, the offense is going to be rudimentary. It's going to have to be run focused. You're going to have to play with the lead every single week, which is basically what you were last year with probably a slightly less physically talented quarterback. Is that going to be enough to get you to any kind of higher plane in terms of bringing you where you want to be as a winning football team? I don't think so, personally.
Or give you answers as to whether or not the guy you took the year before with a high pick is capable.
Well, if you make that decision to go with Zappe, you're out with Mac, right?
Yep, you've pulled the pin. Before I let you go to get ready for the breakdown, I'm going to go over my 2 Quick Slants polls because Quick Slants is tonight at 6:30 with A.K. Adams immediately after the breakdown. 2 polls. The first one was what Bill Belichick should have done Monday night is started Mac and left him in, 44%. Started Zappe, no Mac, 47%. I think it was fine, to be honest, 9.2%. So most people believe they should have just started Zappe and no Mac. The next poll, Phil, the Patriots quarterback plan going forward needs to be Mac and don't look back, 65.8%. I need more Zappe time, 15.4. Battle it out in practice, 17%. I like a platoon system, 1.8.
These people
So-
confuse me. I'm confused.
What? I need
The
more
two
Zappe?
polls, the two polls together.
I know.
People,
And it's the same people.
People did not want to see Mac Jones in this game, but now they want him next week to be the starter forevermore.
Well, they didn't want to see Mac get emasculated, and now that he has, and they got to look at Zapster over, from behind. Not they didn't get a look at Zappe from behind. They got to look at him playing from behind. I got an EEI call coming in here, so I'm going to wrap it up. We'll pull the plug on this whole thing, but we'll get to it later in the week as to whether or not the Patriots stink. You got to get to your breakdown. I got to get out of here. Tom Curran's Patriots Talk podcast. We love you all.